JFrog CEO, Shlomi ben Haim.
Yeah! Well, the amount of applause I got on the first time was not enough, so I asked to do a recoming to the stage. Good morning, everyone. People that are still getting in, please take your seat. We want to start on time. As you saw, our voice of God is exactly on the moment. So please take your seat. Good morning, guys. Good morning, swampUP 2018. People at the back, you have some room over there. Just go sit. So I can't express enough how excited I am to stand here and look at this site, seeing our partners, our sponsors, our customers, community, my team. I'm really very, very excited and grateful to have you here for the fourth time in a row. And these conferences keep growing as we are along the market. Very exciting days for JFrog. We have an amazing agenda for you guys. But some of you might know that I have, in my background, I spent 12 years in the Israeli Air Force. So in the next 15 minutes, I will try to take you to a journey that combines both worlds, the Air Force world and the DevOps world. And what I was trying to do is build something for you that we call the DevOps Cockpit to share with you what we see from this pilot seat. So, not so long ago, we were driving this software release machine, right? Very oil-leaking machines, very manual, lots of noise, kind of shaky. The pilot, in our metaphor, the DevOps engineer, had to control all the knobs, to know all the process, to hold the steering wheel. And it was slow, yet it worked. And I'm not talking about years ago. I'm talking about 5, 7 years. Some of you guys here even remember it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And today, with the cloud experience era and what it triggered, and the on-demand and the zero tolerance of our users, we have to move to a completely different machine. We have to run faster. We have to fly faster. We have to use the machine power and not just the manpower. And while doing so, I was looking for a quote that will express what I feel when I'm part of your community, part of the DevOps community, part of JFrog. And when I saw what Jack Eager, his name kind of moved, what Jack Eager, the first pilot that broke through the sound barrier in 1947, that's kind of blew my mind. That's exactly what I feel. This is how I feel sitting in JFrog's cockpit. The oil market is exploding around us. Everything is happening. Companies are being acquired, raising money. Technologies that you started to adopt, you are still evaluating it, and there is a new technology replacing it already. Everything is shaking in our cockpit as we are about to cross the sound barrier. And we know that we fly fast, and we know that once we will pass it, it will be a smooth flight. But still, now everything is shaking, as Chuck described. And just looking at last year, you look at these two occasions that all of us are aware of. Southwest lost over $80 million of revenue because of 12 hours outage. The S3 outage, I bet that all of you remember this day. Few hours, over $300 million of revenue lost in the market. So what does it mean? It means that we all strive to live in a different world, a world that we have no downtime, a world that we have no outages. And it costs a lot if we are compromised there. So I'm not surprised that Forrester went and asked over 230 DevOps professionals where you are in this DevOps implementation. And they asked two simple questions. Is your organization considerate? And if so, on what stage are you in? And the answer was 99% of you guys are DevOpsing already. By the way, if you are part of the 1%, you are welcome to leave swampUP. It's not the place for you. I'm kidding. I know that none of you is there. But this is amazing because the implementation is already happening. Everybody is already accepting the transition and kind of being a witness to what we see in the market and what we see in the fast and secure software that we have to deliver. And when you look at the worldwide global adoption of DevOps, this is not surprising. We collected information from over 200,000 Artifactory open source servers installed worldwide to give you this world mapping of DevOps adoption. So obviously, yes, the North American companies are adopting DevOps faster than the others. But look at the map. It's just everywhere. And if you look at the addressable market and how big this market is in terms of business, then just 2 years ago, what you see is that this market was estimated in less than $3 billion. And what we see now from analysts, and I got it from 3 different reports for you, is that by 2025, this market will almost be $13 billion market, just DevOps tools and DevOps methodologies. And what we are talking about is the market as we know it today. And every year, there is another layer that we call DevOps. If it comes as a distribution or security or management of our data, every year brings another challenge to what we call DevOps. And the IT budget start to move some more and more dollars to this market. And this is, guys, this is for you if you want to ask your boss for a raise. Prepare that, especially for you. JFrog team, you are excluded. That's amazing. Like when I saw that in Glassdoor 50 best jobs in America ranking, DevOps ranked number 2, I had to read the full article. And then I saw that the entry-level salary, average salary of a DevOps engineer is over $100,000. And when you look at the overwhelming number of positions online on every typical day during 2017, Q4 of 2017, 160,000 positions on a typical day. More than 50% of the managers are looking for DevOps engineers. So I'm not surprised that this market is booming. Of course, there is the demand. There is the other side of the demand, the users that have zero tolerance to what we are creating. And we have to move fast. And we have to move fast with everything we do. So I'm standing here and sharing this information with you that all of you could Google. But I did a job for you and collected the information. But I wanted to bring something that it's a bit more validated. And I wanted to bring something that is a bit more based not just on data we read in the internet, but based on data that we aggregated and collected from our community and from our industry. And I looked at my cockpit, and while sitting there, I had to find this measurement that will help me present data that you can take and use once you get out of swampUP. So the first thing that the team and I chose was the over 20,000 trials we have in JFrog per year, and to collect all the data that we hear from our prospects. Not even our customers, just our prospect, what they are telling us while evaluating the tool and the ecosystem. The second thing we did is that we ran a survey of 400 DevOps engineers, DevOps professionals, that helped us understand what is their preference. We are collecting on a daily basis all the data that called back home from the open source servers, and this is a minimum of 200,000 servers. I'm saying minimum because there are servers that are closed and there is no call home features there, so we don't know about them. And the most important thing, I think, is the 4,000 customers we have that sharing with us this cockpit as the co-pilot, navigate through this DevOps market together with us and help us learn by pointing out the real need of DevOps, what we really need. I had some conversation with some of you yesterday at the CIA during the training, and it was just there. Yes, we like this, we like that, but we miss this. The navigation, the co-navigation, the co-piloting is something that we strongly appreciate and also collect the data to learn more about what's happening in this market. So, are you ready to see some data? Yeah. Is it too early or is it too boring? One of the two. Are you ready to see some data? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. One thing we found out is that even if you are 2-people organization, 3-people organization, you just adopted Docker, there is no way in the world that you will use just one technology while you build software today. And therefore, the package manager starts to be something that every one of you use on a daily basis and use more than just one technology. If you use more than one of the technologies on this slide, please raise your hand. I rest my case. That's exactly what we feel in JFrog. This is the universal solution that we strive to achieve and to provide you guys. What you see here, that 90% of the over 12,000 servers, commercial servers, not open source, these are commercial servers, are using Maven or some kind of a Java package manager. NPM is rising super, super fast. It's something that become a very important package manager in your tool stack. And if you are in the world of DevOps, you obviously understand that scripting with Python, using PyPy as your package manager, also become very important. If you are a .NET shop, then NuGet would be your package manager. And what you see here is the differences between packages, but at the end of the day, on an average company, we see more than 8 technologies in one repository. That's the average, 8 per company, 8 per enterprise company. We also have in the room the founders of Conan, Diego and Luis. Raise your hand if you're here. Hey, Diego and Luis. Conan founders, the guys that developed the open source project for the C and C++ package manager, Conan. And what they did, what they realized, is that there is a huge community. Forget about the future. Forget about IoT and C and C++ for IoT. Just the legacy amount of code lines you have, all of you have in your organizations that contain C and C++. And what this guy did, and we see a very intensive growth there, what they did is started to build, especially last year, a very strong package management and dependency management for the C and C++ community. And just last month, we released a new package. I'm sorry that I don't have the data for you because it's too new, so we didn't manage to collect the data of how many of you are using Go. But if you use Go, just raise your hand. So you see the amount of people here, around 10 to 20% of our customers already express the need for a Go repository, and therefore we included it in your Artifactory. When you look at the DevOps packages, Docker obviously is still the most dominant package in the world. 44% of our users will use Docker. Interesting enough, a lot of them will use Docker and other technologies with it. So obviously RPM, YAM, and Debian. And in the last year, the Helm chart and the Helm package start to be very, very popular, especially if you move to containers, especially if you need to manage Helm charts. You would need a Helm registry, and therefore we see it growing. It's a very new feature in our products today. We just released it at the beginning of, in the first quarter of 2018, but we see the growth and it's growing rapidly. In terms of continuous integration, obviously Jenkins is still the leader in the market. Over 50% of our users will use Jenkins in their CI/CD pipeline. But what we also see is that there are a lot of new CI servers that are focusing on being part of the pipeline and kind of building the code with you everything before Kubernetes, everything you do before Kubernetes. So Circle CI is there, Travis is there, CodeFresh is there, building your pipeline together so it will be Kubernetes ready and containers ready. In terms of version control, this is interesting because while the code repository is extremely, extremely important for all of us, it becomes some kind of a tool that you have to manage. There is almost 85% of the market that will use some kind of Git. GitHub is leading, and then GitLab and Atlassian is following. But altogether, based on Git, and please remember that there are some companies that build their own homemade solution on top of Git. So Git is kind of holding over 85% of the market. Of course, we still have customers that are using Subversion and Perforce, but we see that all the new projects in the market will not start with this code repository. Most of them will start with Git. And we spoke about how fast we move and what happened in the cockpit, and everything is shaking a moment before you are crossing the sound barrier. This is another thing, very big thing. Chef is leading the deployment tools market with 46%, just after it, Puppet and Ansible. But the scripting deployment tools are challenged by something that disrupted them in the last year. We were all here last swampUP. The question whether it would be Swarm or Kubernetes was in the air. Nobody really knew who's taking the lead. Just a year after, it's already clear that Kubernetes is the tool for your orchestration, that Kubernetes is going to replace the majority of the deployment, the scripting deployment tools and the scripting that you are doing today in order to provision. And one of the things that Kubernetes brought to the market is something that we appreciate internally in JFrog a lot in our R&D, is the freedom of choice. You can actually move easily between clouds. You can actually use this tool to allow you choose the technology and the infrastructure and not just as a deployment tool. So obviously what we see with Kubernetes is that it's taking over the market. Now, here is a disclosure around the Kubernetes adoption. Out of these 12,000 customers, more than 80% would say that they are looking at Kubernetes, evaluating Kubernetes, checking Kubernetes. Some of them started new projects with Kubernetes. Less than 5% adopted Kubernetes in production already. So we see it booming, we see it growing. It's being pushed by the community. Huge companies voted for it. The fact that Docker Inc. kind of dropped the ball on Swarm obviously helped Kubernetes growth. And this is what we estimate in the world of the deployment and orchestration. And why am I sharing this all with you? Well, two reasons. Reason number one is that I think that you would agree with me that 80 to 90% of the code in the market is already written. It's already there. Where I kind of reuse it, duplicate it, take it and rebuild it and pack it in a different binary. But it's already there. And when you need to move fast and when you need to automate, there is one thing that you always want to track. It's the metadata, the artifact. This is the asset that you want to use between everything that happened at the code level to the Kubernetes level. And if that's true, and if this assumption, if this basic assumption is true, then obviously you understand that Artifactory plays as the heart in the body. All the blood goes in and out from Artifactory. We see all the data. We collect all the data. Hey, Tim. We aggregate the data for you. This is, by the way, a metaphor that I got from Tim from Bank of America. Thank you, Tim. And what we also start to understand that JFrog starts to serve you guys as the database of DevOps, and not just another repository or another universal solution or a full solution to manage your binaries. This is the first thing. The second thing that, that I would love to see here at swampUP, as I look at all of you, this is a very special crowd. It's not a crowd of senior manager, people that are away from their keyboard. It's not a crowd of people that forgot what deployment is, and they don't remember what it means to struggle with distribution. This is the crowd that will go back home and will solve the IT challenges to the teams. These are the super DevOps crowd that serve the organization at the level of the Ops and IT. And what I shared here is what we see in JFrog, but I'm sure that what you see in the market is also very important. So don't just share your best practices, don't just share your challenges, also share data, because this is very important in a very fast-growing market. That's extremely important. And when you share information about things that you know that you are secure with, I'm sure that it will help all of us build better, faster, and more secured. We have a very busy day. We have an amazing, amazing keynote lineup. We have awesome tracks with a beautiful agenda that you guys helped us contribute to. And the most important thing, we have 2 days to spend together in Napa and learn from each other at the reception, at the cocktail reception tonight, and the gala, and the sport bar just after. I'm very excited to be here again. I'm grateful to see you among the awesome community that we are part of. And I would like to thank you, and I will see you again tonight. Thank you very much.